what's interesting about revisiting it is like when we were 19 years old, the story that we heard about him was that he was a former UT professor. I think he was a philosophy professor, and he chose to give up his life as a professor to live a simple life on the street. And then, like, to revisit this as an adult, oh, yeah, nobody chooses this life. If it appears that somebody is choosing this, it means whatever they're running away from is like so much worse.
Morning, Lenny.
What's up?
Lenny Barszap. And you guys are both in Texas?
I'm up in New York. I'm in
Austin.
You're in Austin. Okay. I am in LA. This is my co-host, Madison.
Hi.
We've had a magazine since 2017, 2018, but had the podcast last year and a half or so. So happy to have you guys on today.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Madison, is that microphone clipped to you? Like, does it move with you?
No, that would be really freaky, though, if it was.
Yeah, I saw you moving around. I thought it was like moving. There you go.
No, I'm trying to coax my dog to go back downstairs. She's looking at me like she wants to be up here, but she barks at a lot of things.
Thanks again for coming on the Indie Magazine podcast. We want to talk to you guys a little bit about your film, Home Free. And I just want to talk to you a little bit about indie filmmaking and where the idea came from. Obviously, you talk about that and a little bit about your backgrounds. How did your paths first cross? Because I saw online you guys had done a 2019 film, Hot Tub. Is that the first time you met, or had you worked on something before then?
Lenny and I have deep history. So it goes all the way back to, I think we were 12 years old and both growing up in small town Texas towns. I was in Driftwood. He was in College Station, and we ended up being at the same summer camp together. I mean, full disclosure, Lenny and I really didn't get along right when we met. I mean, it took some years, to be honest with you, but sometimes good friendships come out of pressure and struggle. So, going to camp together, becoming friends over, our middle school and then early high school years, Lenny and I got really close, and we're always just causing a lot of trouble for the most part. We were kind of misfits that had found each other and had a lot of fun together, up through high school. We ended up going to college together with some of our other friends. And that's kind of where the story for Home Free was born. Lenny can probably tell you more about.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add that, I mean, we were Jews in small town Texas. So you can imagine how the word misfit, literally, we did not fit in. And so we went to this Jewish summer camp and met each other. And it was really this like finding your people kind of situation where like we could meet other people and be like, oh, people hate you where you're from. Oh, cool. Let's be friends. And so, we all kind of coming from different cities in Texas, like we kind of all moved to Austin together to go to college. And so we really had this like close group of friends. And that's where when we were trying to think of the movie's based on like real events. So we lived in college where we met this unhoused former professor when we were the first house we ever lived in off campus. We were 19 years old, met this guy living in the park at the end of the block, and we saw him suffering after a crazy rainstorm and told him like, hey, don't sleep outside. Come sleep on our porch. We have a couch on the porch. There's a roof over your head.
We thought it was going to be for one night. That was kind of the offer, I think.
Yeah. And it ended up being, a year. We're close to it. So, we were thinking about how to bring it to life and thinking about this idea of like being misfits, right? Like we didn't fit in. So it was really, thinking about, okay, this group of friends and how can we represent all different groups of people who feel, othered, or just that you are somebody who, is treated differently, and how those friends can find each other in college.
I want to add too that like this was something that just organically happened to us as 19-year-old college kids. There was never any intention of like, oh, this was crazy. We should make a movie. It like never crossed our minds. Never.
We didn't go to film school. We were.
Yeah, we weren't. This was not our path.
I studied architecture. Aaron was in communications. We were doing different stuff. I mean, our film school was after college. We all moved to New York, and Aaron signed us up for. He went one day and came home from work or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, I stopped by the public access TV station and signed us up for a TV show, and we have to turn in a 30-minute show every week." And none of us were filmmakers and knew. And this is like, 2000 to 2004. We had this show.
We were 21. Yeah.
This was, editing from VCR to VCR. Like we didn't know what we were doing, but that was 4 years of became our kind of film school, like where we were just making stupid videos to entertain each other.
At what point did it occur to you guys to like take your lived experience and try and make a movie out of it? Because that's kind of a bold creative move. And so like what was kind of the thought process behind that? Like what was there just kind of a moment where you guys both were just like, I think this is something that we can put to screen?
We never intended to do it. Okay. So a lot of these things are happy accidents. And what really ended up happening was like, after New York, I started a production company in Austin called Onion Creek Productions. So I was getting more and more, and I had interned at MTV and whatever. I was getting more and more into production, but it wasn't narrative feature films. It was music videos, commercials, what have you. Lenny had been in architecture. He and I started talking years later. I mean, this is like, we're probably in our late 30s, early 40s at this point. Yeah. And we kind of came back, and I had a lot of experience and a lot of crew and gear to kind of make stuff. And I was kind of creatively, staggered at that point. And here comes Lenny. He's a great writer. He's always been, kind of a taste.
I was working jobs that I hated, right? Like I was doing architecture. Then I got into like brand experience strategy work, and then advertise, but I was working these jobs that were just like grueling hours, like, and I was miserable, but to like keep myself sane, I would just like book a conference room for an hour and go write. I would just start writing scripts, and like, it kind of was like my way to try to stay connected to like the creativity we had in this dumb public access show that we had. And I started taking classes at UCB doing writing. And then, so we got to this point where like, I would share scripts with Aaron. He would, he was enjoying them. Aaron was getting to the point where he wanted to start doing like narrative work. And that's where like that hot tub film that you mentioned, like I think we were like 40 years old when we made that film. And we were just hey, let's see if we can make a film, right? Like a narrative story that people care about. We did that. It's a short. And I think we didn't barely submit it to any festivals, but we got it in. It was in Austin Film Festival, which is like the writers' film festival, they call it. I made me feel good because I'm like, oh, I'm just starting to write stuff, and people who know about writing liked it, and that kind of just kickstarted us to be like, okay, like let's start making films. And we went to Sundance. And we were just like, hey, let's see if we're going to make films. Let's go to Sundance and see what this is about. And we did that. Hot Tub film was a short that we thought was just like a cool vehicle to like tell stories. We were like, they're really easy. It's like self-contained story. The whole thing happens in a hot tub. But we were like, a hot tub's like this weird thing where like you're kind of stuck in it. Like even if it gets uncomfortable, like it takes a lot of effort to get out of. So it was like, we could tell like a bunch of stories of like, there's the backyard hot tub, there's the fancy hotel hot tub, there's the weird, I don't know, trashy hotel hot tub, whatever. So we were going to make it into a series, and we were talking to people at Sundance about it, and like we were going to do like a 6-episode thing, and like we would do like 3 or 4 of them and find other writer directors to make other ones. And we were at Sundance, and people were like, hey, how do you guys know each other? And we started telling stories about like back in the day. And we told this story about inviting a unhoused professor to live on our porch, and how we used to have parties, and it would be like half college students, half people who live in the park down the block.
Literally sorority girls dancing with unhoused people with,
Just those classic college experiences.
Classic college. Yeah. We kind of, it was a wild year, and we kind of thought we had it all figured out. But back to what Lenny was saying, like this was just a few filmmaker friends of ours at Sundance in Utah telling high school and college stories. So I think Lenny was kind of just being like, you wouldn't believe what happened to us sophomore year at UT. And I think it was Jeremy Mattern, who's one of our editors. He was there, and I think he looked at me and he's like, sounds like a movie to me. And I look at Lenny and I was like, dude, do not write that script. Like, making films, guys, you guys know, it's like you're signing up to get brutalized, right? Like it's a painful path. And once we got that feedback from a couple of people that were laughing at the story, but also thought it had some heart to it, Lenny and I kind of walked away from that Sundance experience. I think we both kind of knew this might be worth exploring, and we had some conversations and some deep discussion about how could we even tell that story without trivializing, a human crisis and suffering. So it took a lot of finagling to not finagling, but like, we were very specific about how we wanted to tell that story, because it's so easy to be cheesy, or B, try, it originally wasn't going to be a comedy. We were like, is it a documentary? Is it a drama? Those are typically, we wanted to help people if we're going to tell a story about this. We did it when we were 19. It changed our lives. It really did kind of follow us through our everyday lives. The fact that we got to live with the professor and his community ended up moving in with us as well. And that really followed us for the rest of our lives. And I think the thing that we learned was that, this issue has become such a huge crisis in our country that a lot of people seem to just pigeonhole it as one issue, and everybody that's experiencing this is a product of the same problems. And it is a problem, and we all wish it would just go away, but that's really not what it is. From what we saw, it's like everybody who's in that situation comes to it from a different situation, and some of it is completely close to home, and it can kind of, I don't know, man. It's just learning about
people. I mean,
yeah,
totally.
I mean, I'm going to take a little step back, because I think we will get into the movie a little bit more, but like from that Sundance, we literally went into that thinking we're making a short series, right? Like an anthology short series.
Yeah.
And we had this experience where we were telling this story and people were like, oh, you should make that into a movie. But we also met somebody at Sundance who we saw a short, loved his short. It was like comedic, but it also had like a strong message. And there was a guy named Alex Kavutsky. He did a short called Squirrel, which if you haven't seen it, it's really good. And it deals with, it's very funny, but it basically is like don't text and drive message. So we talked to him and we were like, hey, like we'd love for you to make one of these hot tubs. And he was like, hey, yeah, like he's like, I would love to do that. He's like, I'm, trying to get my feature made. And I have this other friend who's trying to make a feature. And he connected us with this other filmmaker. They were a group that came out of Channel 101. I don't know if you know that. You guys are in LA. I don't know if you know them. That's like where The Lonely Island got their start. It's a group of filmmakers who basically every month they have to make a 5-minute short. And then they all kind of vote on which ones get turned into, it's like pitching a pilot every month and then see which ones become a series. So they came out of this world of like quick filmmaking, connected us with a guy named Kurt Neal who we talked to, and he's like, hey, I'd love to make one of those hot tubs, but I also have this film I'm trying to make. And he's like, for the tiny budget that you are proposing, we make a hot tub, like a, 5 to 10 minute short. He's like, I think we can make a feature film. And we were like, fuck it, let's try.
Wow.
And so we went with this guy, Kurt Neal, that we barely knew. He had an outline. It was a group of comedy improvisers who make films every month. And we, worked on the outline for probably only like 6 weeks, and then we were out.
It was totally an experiment. And the cool thing is, I still have a production company that, we have serious gear, we have serious crew, and we looked at this opportunity as like, hey, the risk factor is pretty low on this one. And Kurt is a really funny dude, and his concept was actually really funny. And it was like, what do we have to lose? We could walk away, we can help him for sure and bring our resources and our, support. And Lenny and I ended up producing, we filmed it in 6 days. It was insanity. I mean,
wow.
6-day feature, and it turned into a feature.
It's a road trip comedy that we shot going from LA to Bombay Beach out on the Salton Sea.
Mm-hmm.
And we shot it in 6 days. And mostly, we had an outline, there were some rehearsals, but it was mostly improvised. And we ended up with a feature that we were all really happy with, that like turned out really well. It was, it's a funny movie. You can see it. It's on Amazon Prime. Derek's dead. But like we literally, like in the span of from Sundance to, I think we shot that movie in like March or April. All of a sudden we're like, oh shit, like we made a feature. Like, so now like we can't go back to making shorts. Like, let's make our movie. And so that's what kind of kicked us off to make Home Free. So then Aaron and I like trapped ourselves into like a house for, I think like 4 days, made an outline, and then I went off and wrote the script and
read a lot of books about writing scripts.
Yeah, like how do you make a feature?
Read Save the Cat. I mean, look, it is as much criticism as it gets. Save the Cat will at least give you kind of like a basic idea of how to structure a basic movie, a feature.
Great guideline. I was going to say, at the beginning of your movie, you have that title card flash that says, most of the shit actually happened or something to that effect, right?
Yeah.
How did you guys pick what to fictionalize, who to combine into characters? Because I understand that, Lenny, you and Owen are probably a little closer, right?
We had a group of, we're a group of like 10, 11 people who we're still all friends to this day. And leading up to, before Aaron and I, holed up in a house to do the outline, we just created like a Google Doc where we threw like every dumb memory that we had from college, like every stupid thing we did, every one of these unhoused characters that we remember, and every, our friends, like what are some attributes, and then it was like this massive menu that I could work with to kind of. And we were playing with like how many people, we were 6 people living in the house at that time. And it was like, how many people feels right to like, I think we were trying, obviously the less characters, the cheaper it gets.
We did get a lot. I mean, look, we really took it seriously, and we let, as we were writing, Lenny was writing the script, I was helping, but like we let some really serious film people read our rough drafts and give us notes. And one criticism that was coming up consistently was like, make it shorter. That's just a criticism that I think anyone who's writing scripts is going to get. It's not a bad criticism, but I'm also seeing kind of a backlash to that now with some filmmakers. It's interesting. But another one was, you have too many characters. But our reality, and I think we did end up cutting it down a little bit, but our reality was that it was a group of us, right? And it's kind of hard to tell a story with that many featured character, like main characters, but that was the reality. So I think this story is really, it's a good reflection of what actually happened, because we did end up having, 5 people living in the main house, the friend living next door, all that happened.
Yeah, and I think it's like a weird thing too, where like on the page, like when you're reading something, it's really hard to keep track of characters in your head, right? But as soon as you like see them on the screen, like you don't forget people, I mean, unless it's like Game of Thrones and you're like, holy shit, who are all these
Yeah.
fucking people? But yeah, I mean, so it was a struggle where we're recreating college, and it's a low budget indie film, but like it has to feel full, right? Like college is like you're surrounded by so many people, and like we were juggling like the college student crowd and then this unhoused crowd. So just automatically you almost have double the number of people. So it was becoming like a big movie, which the other thing too was
I,
like,
I
you
know
know,
we're
COVID stopped this movie. We had done all of our writing and pre-production and we were ready to go. We were supposed to shoot this movie in May of 2020.
Oh man.
So that didn't happen, and we
Yeah.
ended up shooting it in August of 2021. And like in that time, so it sucked because like we wanted to make our movie, but like the movie actually for having Aaron and we actually had started casting the movie like before COVID started. And then we were kind of in this state of like we could go at any time, right? Like as soon as it feels safe, we're gonna make this fucking movie. So
Yeah.
it was kind of beautiful because we were like in this pre-production stage for like a year and a half, like, and it just kept getting better. Like
yeah.
we never stopped working on it. We kept casting that whole time. Thanks Kate Geller for sticking with us. And she was like, yeah, we got to make this movie. So yeah, it was like this weird thing where like everybody during that time was like, well, now it's COVID, so you can't make a movie with all these characters. Everybody's making movies with like two people sitting in a house, you know?
Yeah.
But we were like, well, we're recreating college, so like we can't
Can't do that.
do that. So it was hard. Like it was a hard movie to pull off for sure. COVID sucked, and obviously, but
Yeah, I mean, you guys do such a good job because, like you're saying, it feels more like college with a lot of people. I agree with you in that sometimes I think filmmakers take the simpler way, two, three characters, but it doesn't feel like the real lived experience. When it came to the homelessness and how you show it in the film, when I had first read the description versus when I watched it, I was like, wait, these are two different things. I read the description and I was like, oh, this might be heavy. I better like buckle up. And instead, I'm like, oh, no. This is a fun college movie that's also just genuine about they meet this guy, he lives with them, now he's bowling with them, now we're having a good time, they're at the party, and it just kind of feels joyous in its depiction of something that is like a harsh reality. How did your experience from back then not only influence how you showed it, but how has it changed now with you being adults and having moved on, and also like the conversations moved a little bit? How has now impacted how you kind of look back at that experience?
I mean, I thought it was really cool to be able to like reanalyze and relive this experience through this movie literally over, 20, 25 years later, because at the time when we were living this experience, first of all, to answer the tonal question, right? Like college was fun, right? And college was fucking stupid and funny and all that stuff. So we wanted this to feel like that, but we did also want it to have a real message because we're like, we can't just make a movie that you tell a story and it's just that, just a story. But I mean, we were kind of thinking about how do we tell this story and, for it to have a real message about homelessness sucks, right? Homelessness is an issue that like none of us want to look at, none of us want to like engage with. Like it's uncomfortable. It's something that like as a society, like everybody agrees that it's wrong, right? Everybody agrees that like we shouldn't have people living on the street in the United States of America. I mean, current administration aside, questionable, but so however, there's a lot of movies, like most people would do a drama or a documentary or something that just like guts you about the issue, but like those are movies that like nobody wants to watch, right?
Yeah.
Like they're movies that like I have so many movies sitting in my Netflix queue that I'm like, oh, I should watch that movie, but I really, at the end of the day, I don't want to, right?
Yeah.
So if I were like, hey, Tristan Madison, like, do you want to go see a movie about homelessness? Like, you're like, no, and so we were like, but if you said, do you want to go see a funny college comedy? Then yeah, like that,
Yeah.
you know, so we were like, what's our tone? We were like, we want this to be Dazed and Confused meets Superbad, right? Like that's, and when we thought about the kind of experiences we had and the kind of nuggets that we were going to bake into this movie, it felt like that. That's what college kind of felt like.
And you have to understand, we were 19 when this happened. Very carefree, very it was just carefree. And even though we had met this professor, this individual, and we totally understood how serious his situation was, it wasn't us being these angels or anything. It was just us going along with the flow. And he was funny, and he was kind of like our Yoda in a way. And it was kind of, it just made sense to just say, hey dude, come chill on our porch. We like having you around. You add some humor and some insight and some, kind of like, I don't know.
He was like a mentor,
sure.
kind of. I mean, he was this.
What does that say about us?
Yeah, he was this like wise, professorly, mentor-y guy, and what's interesting about revisiting it is like when we were 19 years old, the story that we heard about him was that he was a former UT professor who, I think he was a philosophy professor, and he chose to give up his life as a professor to live a simple life on the street, right? And so at 19 years old, we're like, fuck yeah, this is like Jack Kerouac. This is, like we romanticized it. And then like to revisit this, having lived this experience, Aaron and I both have like stayed close to this issue. We've, when we were making the movie, we partnered with a nonprofit in Austin called the Other Ones Foundation, who were like helping a 200 resident tent community. So Aaron and I like embedded ourselves into that community for a while. Aaron more than me because he was in Austin, but I went during COVID like to live in Austin for a bit too. And so we were like really close with these communities, and that also like trying to be sensitive to this issue. But like, I mean, as an adult revisiting it, we're like, oh yeah, nobody chooses this life, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody, like as much as people say like, oh, people don't want to live in a house and they want to live on the street. They want that for, it's like, no, like if it appears that somebody is choosing this, it means whatever they're running away from is like so much worse, or they just emotionally aren't ready to deal with whatever they're dealing with, right? So it was interesting to see that as like it is part of the story in the movie where like they think that he chose this, and that is, I mean, you asked the question of like what do we fictionalize versus not, and it's like a lot of the dumb shit in this movie is dumb shit that we actually did. But the one thing, I mean, they're obviously like, I picked and chose like what order to put things in, and they're not happening the way that we live them. But the one thing that is like purely manufactured is like the backstory of the professor. And it was really that needing to illustrate that he didn't choose this as much as I walked away from that experience never questioning that he chose that life when I was 19 years old.
Yeah, it's interesting because watching it, Madison and I both grew up in the Mormon church and like did missions and stuff. I was watching this, recontextualizing my own experience, going, wait a sec, this wasn't a man in his 40s just living with 6 roommates in a really dark house that everyone kept the doors shut. It was like a halfway house. And I had these moments of kind of doing the same thing with myself and going, oh, the funny guy that always had a funny turn of phrase or a joke and was just always around on the street hanging out downtown wasn't just doing that because he was having a good time. And it was that moment of understanding that you had to tell a story while also making it enjoyable to watch, like you said, making it a comedy and stuff.
And anytime we get too serious, we have to throw another joke at it because, I mean, the beauty is like it is working. Like we've shown this movie now a good amount of times. It was playing in Austin for a long residency, playing every Friday night at a movie theater there that was very generous to give us that. But like people are laughing and people are crying, and and people have told us too that like this has, I mean, we can talk more too about the insane impact stuff that we've been doing that spiraled out of this movie with, we are now a nonprofit, but we've also raised
Wow.
close to $3 million for the Other Ones Foundation. And now we're working with an organization called Caritas and other organizations that we've worked with. But, I had somebody tell me at one of our screenings that they saw, because of our movie, that they had seen at one of our premieres, that they said, they lived in New York and they would walk through the park every day. And after seeing our movie, they're like, you know what? I just started saying good morning to people in the park.
Yeah.
And he's like, and over time, like I started talking to this one guy in particular. We'd have conversations every morning. He's like, and then, I started walking through my friends. I'd introduce my friends to him. We started bringing, my friends and I, one day a week, we would bring him breakfast. And then we started getting him to doctor's appointments. We started and then he's like, now he's in permanent housing and we helped him do that. And he's like, and I would not have started saying good morning to this person had I not seen your movie. And so it's like, it's pretty incredible how like just that little shift of like, oh, right, these are people, let's say good morning to them, can really have a huge impact.
Yeah, I think you avoid the cliches and some of the moments that I think a lot of early filmmakers or even just indie film can get into, of someone's written all these speeches and they really want to see him on screen every few minutes, and you're like, oh no, if I have another speech I'm going to die here. And you guys don't do that, which I really love.
I mean, I
it's
will say
authentic.
we did have some, but we cut them in the edit. I mean, there was definitely stuff that was like a little cliche, and we just wanted it to feel really real and
Yeah.
authentic. As dumb and stupid as it is, we wanted it to be anchored in reality. And so anything that felt too, we didn't want to beat people over the head at all. We didn't want to proselytize. We just wanted it to feel human. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think we walked a line that we were really nervous about too, especially because we were partnered with all of these nonprofits and friends who are living in tents and who, and so showing the movie to those people after, years of working on it, like that was what made me the most nervous, was like, oh, were we respectful? Because it is a dumb comedy and we did push the boundary, but I think that we were just very sensitive to like, no joke is ever at the expense of people experiencing homelessness. It's never like the housed people in the movie are the ones who are dumbasses.
Yeah, it's really a story about dumb college kids that are kind of making fun of each other. And then when faced with something serious, some real life, how do they respond? And at the core of it, I mean, you guys have seen it. I mean, it's a story about two best friends who grew up together. And I mean, that's really what the movie is kind of about. It's Owen and Richard. And sometimes we have friends that we grow up with that are so integral to our lives and so important to us. They're almost family, but they take a path that makes you, and especially like the professor kind of instigates Owen, our protagonist, our hero, to kind of understand who he is and who he's going to become as an adult. And I think a lot of us go through that when you're in that college state, when you're between, 17 and 20, 21 years old, you're going to be faced with a situation at some point that's, what kind of person am I going to be, and start thinking about like, oh, what I do now is going to affect who I am as an adult. And those things really happen to us. And I'm curious what you guys think, Madison and Tristan. I mean, I don't see, it was an experiment of a movie because Lenny and I are huge comedy guys. I mean, we could reel off, I can tell you guys love comedy as well. I mean, comedy is just so sacred to us. We love it. We cherish it. Good comedy. Holy shit. It's the best of the best. But I don't see many, our film is truly kind of a social impact film disguised as a comedy. And we were very strategic and specific to do it that way because we wanted it to be enjoyable and funny and make people laugh, but also kind of Trojan horse our message of compassion and humanity in there. And that's a hard thing to do. And I don't know. What are your thoughts about other movies or that just trying to do good through comedy? I'm just curious what you guys think, because it's a weird thing that I don't see much of.
Yeah, no, I as we're having this conversation, I think you're absolutely right. If we were to sit down and look through Netflix and be like, oh, look, here's this like huge drama movie about this really important social topic, I think we should absolutely sit down and watch that. But it's hard to want to, because sometimes they're just such emotional experiences that we absolutely should be having, but I don't want to have them on a Friday night.
Right.
I want to be having fun on a Friday night. And so I think comedy is a great, I think comedians in general, the reason that they're funny is because they actually know quite a lot of woundedness and a lot of trauma and a lot of pain. And comedy is the way that they've learned how to deal with that, and the way that it's kind of a defense mechanism and also like a power tool that they have to try and wrestle with their own sadness, their own grief. And I think that using comedy as a way to approach something as serious as homelessness, I think is a good way to try and like start a conversation about it in a way that's approachable and accessible. Because, if you, like we've been saying, if you had a movie about homelessness that was really hard and heavy, that might be able to get across a level of message, but the amount of people who would be able to approach it willingly would be a lot lower. So I think that the comedy approach is absolutely, I think that's a great approach.
Thanks, man. I mean, that's how we felt too, because we're like, those documentaries and dramas, like, they're important, right? Like, there's a lot of, like, once we hook somebody with our movie, we hope that they go and do more research and, like, learn more through, like, some serious shit. But, like, if you just make those, like, you're kind of only talking to the people who already care, right? And so what we were like, well, how do we reach the people who don't care, right? Who don't or aren't engaged or don't know? And like, this is just kind of like a first step, like to start those conversations, like you're saying, Madison. And like, yeah. And then, now we are a nonprofit. Like we started. So, I mean, what happened was we were paused making our movie and we were partnered with this 200 resident tent community in Austin called the Esperanza Community that was being supported by the Other Ones Foundation, who own a piece of our movie. Like we were also like, okay, like how do we make this movie as impactful as possible? And so we structured the movie in a way that like when we were raising money, we were just like, look, we're committed to sharing. We said we'd share at least 10% of our movie, right? And so they fiscally sponsored us, and they were like, if we can accept tax deductible donations. Or we also had investors, right? And so we basically would approach people and be like, okay, you can invest or you can donate. If you donate, you will be buying shares in the movie for this nonprofit, right? Or for this issue. Or you can take the money, right? If this movie makes any money. And so it was kind of like a way to try to maximize the amount of money we could raise for this nonprofit and have the movie do as much good as possible, but also, just trying to get people to think about like, do you want to help or do you want to take it for yourself? But
I'll say this real quick, Lenny. What's interesting is like you go in a direction, and I'm a big believer in like the universe will kind of like tell you where to kind of focus your efforts and your path a bit if you just listen, and it's not kind of a slap in the face, it's a tap on the shoulder. But we went in this direction, and what came out of that really is insane because it's affected my life and Lenny's life completely, and now it's like our main focus. During pre-production of this movie, like Lenny was saying, it was COVID, and so we were delayed. We're partnered with the Other Ones Foundation, this community in East Austin that's actually like a template for potentially how to address that. Lenny and I don't know all the answers, but like we were partnered with this group that is kind of doing the best job that we've seen here in Austin about dealing with this and actually helping hundreds and hundreds, and at this point, thousands of people transition out of homelessness. It's insane. It's amazing. And we got to this point where we were like, what else can we do? There had been some major freezes in Austin, and that community was really suffering. And we were just like, what else can we do? And through everything that Lydia and I have done, I used to put on a music festival, Utopia Fest, still love them. But
Adrian Quesada, he was half of Black Pumas. He's nominated for an Oscar right now. He's won Grammys. He was
producing our soundtrack. So we were
he went to college with us. He went to college with us also, and so he was doing our soundtrack. Yeah, and we were just like, hey, what can we do to like lift the spirits of the people who are suffering intense through winter storms, and we were like, hey, let's put on a music festival.
Good. Kind of music festival, one that was not open to the public. We really wanted to have, because you have to understand there's a dignity that these people have, and a lot of times they're shamed or they feel shame. And I think we need to really address, be sensitive to that. And so what Lenny and I and the other ones discussed was like, let's bring Grammy award winning amazing musicians and bands to the community without anyone else being present. This is going to be a music these people don't get to go to music festivals. We're going to bring a festival to them and actually work with them to help produce that festival. And that became the first Been There festival a few years ago, which has now and what's crazy is that
it was on 420.
It was 420.
420, 2021.
Nice.
But what's crazy about things like that is through doing that, there were some supporters of that organization that showed up to experience that. And it was kind of this replay of what we saw in college. We were seeing people of immense resources dancing and celebrating with people who are suffering, and the humanity and that's what's crazy. Music, art, film, it matters way, way, way more than people realize. That is culture. That is society. If you go back to the ancient Greek ruins, what do you see in every city? It's a theater. It's a performance space. There's a reason for that. And I appreciate you guys kind of putting spotlights on what you put spotlights on, because when things get tough, the first thing that I think a lot of people want to just kind of push aside or deprioritize is movies and art and music and things like that. It's kind of the opposite. We need that more than ever. And it's really kind of what Lenny and I are working on, our nonprofit. The whole mission of what we're doing now is it's have fun doing good, but it's an art focused exercise where we are leveraging beautiful festival and music experiences, film, everything, and art, but it has this Trojan horse element of a message or an initiative that actually tangibly, directly helps people get off the streets. That's our first mission, is like, let's go to the least fortunate among us and really try to help them. But the things we're doing are not depressing. They are not, hey, let's all feel sad about it and, gut punch. Yeah. It's like, no, let's have a really, really amazing, fun, elevated experience and just know that you're also helping people at the same time. It's working. Yeah. That's the craziest thing to me, is like the experiment kind of proved itself. It is working.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're, like Aaron said, it's having fun and doing good. And so we're always like, fun has to be first, right? And then if you bring people into the fun, and then it has to do good. So like if it satisfies those two things, but we really emphasize the fun because we really want to get to these people, like you show up to a music festival because you love the bands, right? You're not coming to it because you want to help homelessness. That's the icing on the cake, right? And so I think what's cool about it is like we've done now 3 of these music festivals. We have and now we're helping like other organizations like Caritas. We're helping them. We booked some bands to to play at their what traditionally was like a gala. And now, we're trying to help them transition that into a music festival and try to get, just let's increase the fun. People need fun and joy and all those things, but we can do that and do good at the same time.
Yeah, I saw on your nonprofit's website that was kind of the tagline, right? Having fun, doing good, and you end the film with that last little note of, I think it's just do good, right?
Yeah.
And I really love that theme all throughout, and how, like you're saying, not critiquing it too much, but like watching The Soloist, which is about someone who's homeless in LA and a musician and art, you can't watch that too many times in general, at least for me. It's just a little too heavy, too depressing. We're playing into exactly what we know is going to go on, where this is much more of a fun film. And I hope you guys continue to, like you say, bring the fun in with this Trojan horse good behind it, because that's where the real impact comes and that's where the real change is. I guess my last question for you guys is, for other people who have stories or things they've kind of been sitting on or wondering, like, how do I bring this up without it being awkward, whether it be racial or political or otherwise, of, how do I bring something I'm passionate about forward through film and art, what would your advice to them be as far as making a film or a short and getting that passion to the forefront and making a change?
I mean, I would say less is more when it comes to especially like heavy topics. And no one likes to be preached to. No one likes to be told they're doing wrong, or here's how, I run away from anyone who tells me they've got it all figured out. I run away like that. That's just kind of, so many people are out there right now just claiming to have it all figured out. It's like, dude, we're living such a crazy life and existence right now. Humble yourself a bit and really find the essence of the story that's human and specific to you and tell that part of it. And I'm encouraging everyone, because the real serious stuff is mixed in there. But go less is more. It's like, write all the stuff you want to preach and then cut it out and just show what happens before and after. That's my advice.
I think also like making it like whatever story you're trying to tell, like as the storyteller, like it has to feel personal, right? Like even if it's somebody else's story, it has to have a piece of you in it. And I think like what's cool about the fact that like our movie has so many different characters, when people watch the movie, like everybody kind of connects to a different, like it's not like everybody loves, I mean, there's, generally people are enjoying the movie, but like people are like, somebody will be like, I love this character, like and someone's like, I love this character, and so I think the ability for people to see themselves in like the different elements of it, but it's because they're all rooted in, they're not all like one-to-one. None of them are one-to-one to any individual person. They're amalgams of like different people we are or knew, and we are kind of ourselves like split across a few of them. But I think just like make it, if you're telling a story, it should somehow tell your story. And then I think also have it, I think the other thing too with like now with the nonprofit, which helps this a lot, but like if you're trying to create impact, like, and this is something we're all working on more, but like what do people take away from it, right? And like how do people, if they're moved by it and they want to do something, how do you like make them know like, okay, what do I do now? Like what do I do with this? And I think a lot of times like we watch movies and we just feel helpless. And so I think that's why our message is not open your house to an entire community of people who live on the streets, but it is like these are humans and they're people, and like just say good morning to them, right? Like just acknowledge them, treat them like humans, and like that'll go far. And so I think like making something feel actionable. Obviously now like we're also like we're raising money for organizations that are doing incredible work. And so that's a way that people can get involved. And if you're an artist, like reach out and tell us like what your art is and how we can like we really see what we're doing now as like trying to build a movement of like how do we use this kind of Trojan horse art to get to create impact, but it can't just be Aaron and me doing it, right? Like we need a movement isn't two people. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that answered your.
That does,
I would
yeah.
say the simplest, the answer everybody gives is like, just make your movie. Like just do, like anybody can make something now, make it on your phone, make it on, you could do it cheap to just get, we made a little short film and then the next thing we knew that led us to making our feature, right? So
yeah,
I think we'll start making stuff. Everybody says that.
For everyone listening who wants to reach out, I know I'm going to link your organization, the other one's Foundation, Esperanza Community, as well as IMDb and stuff. Where can they watch this movie? Do you have plans to stream it? And then as well, how can they reach out to each of you guys?
Talk about how we're.
I mean, listen, I'm all open source at this point, Lenny. You don't mind me saying it?
No.
All right. So look, the feature film distribution system that's in place right now is utterly broken. Let's be honest about it. Let's just be honest. We've released 2 other features, and home free. We want as many people to be able to see it as possible. We also want to meet people where they're at, especially the younger generations. It's a college movie. We're going to be releasing the entire movie. This is the first time we've ever talked about it. We just decided this.
Yeah.
In the next month, by April, May, the entire movie is going to be available for free in clip form on social media. You can literally go to any of your Instagram stories, YouTube stories, Facebook. We're going to put it TikTok everywhere. You can literally watch the entire movie for free, clip by clip by clip, start to finish. We'll also have a link to rent the movie through several of the common online outlets and streamers.
Yeah.
But it is coming out in the next month to 2 months. That's what we're working on.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially now with the nonprofit, like we're really like obviously everybody would love to make a ton of money making a movie, but like our real metric is impact. And so the most important thing is like, how do we get the most amount of people to see this movie? And when people have seen it, it has worked.
And I'll say this too. That's not for lack of distributors giving us offers.
Yeah.
We've gone that direction before. Home Free has had 8 to 10 big distributor offers. We've just been down that path, and I'm not going to make any, claims this way or that. Do whatever is right for your movie. For us, we're trying something different. We feel like we owe something to the audience, and we want to. It's basically a love letter to the audience and saying, hey, we spent a lot of money and we spent a lot of time and heartache. I wasn't gray before making this movie, and now I am. But we want you to watch it and share it with your friends if you like it. That's the point.
And when Aaron says big distributor offers, they're big distributors, but the offers suck, right? I mean, right now, the distributors the model is, hey, we're going to give you nothing or a very tiny amount of money, and we're going to control your movie for 7 to 10 years. Right?
Oh boy. Yeah.
And so we've gone down that route and we were just like, you know what? Like if somebody's going to take our movie from us, we'll just give it away ourselves. Right. Like,
yeah.
And we control it. And just like this residency we just did in Austin, it was so fun. And like, then I think this movie does benefit from being seen with an audience, but we can do that. We can put it out on socials. We can put it out on YouTube. We can put it out wherever we want, and we can still do theatrical screenings. We can do educational screenings. We can do whatever we want because we still control it. But as soon as you give it to a distributor, then they control it.
I'm glad you guys kept that power to yourself because it's a powerful movie. It's a good one, and it's one that, you would not want to see buried just so they can have a tile for 2 weeks and put it away somewhere.
Yeah,
for sure. And if people want to reach out to you, I know you guys have already offered, is Instagram the best or TikTok, or how do you like to interact with fans and other filmmakers?
Instagram.
We're trying to direct everyone to beenthere.org.
Okay.
That's our nonprofit that's literally kind of the umbrella now for everything we're making and producing, including Home Free. and everything's going to be available there. We also have like music festivals coming up. We have new movies we're making. We have large sculptures that are going up in city. I mean, it's changed our lives. So beenthere.org, socials, and the website is definitely probably the best place to keep up to date and see the movie.
Great.
We're not like big teams of people behind us that if you reach out, it's like, we'll see it.
Yeah, it'll be you guys.
Just reach out.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on and for talking about it, sharing experience, advice, and a little more about the process behind the film and what makes it so special. And
we do also have an I know we're wrapping up, but we have an incredible soundtrack that is available right now on vinyl, double LP. Adrian Quesada produced it, but it also just is like an incredible all original music, trying to recreate like a 90s mixtape vibe. And we got incredible guests to be, we have Jay Mascis from Dinosaur Jr. and Mixmaster Mike and Money Mark from the Beastie Boys and Alexis Jackson and Slim Kid Trey and Fat Lip from the Far Side and Akil from Jurassic 5.
And Stephanie Hunt.
Tons. So this was like
crazy.
Like, who can we get of our heroes from the 90s? And then also, like, it's an Austin movie. So, like, who are the, like, amazing Austin musicians? And it's really just, it blows me away. So there's vinyl, which is awesome, but it's also on all the
You want to have a good movie, you got to have a good soundtrack. I think that's something we could all agree on.
I was going to say, I'm glad you guys brought it up because we're actually doing a separate episode. The publicist sent the vinyl to my music writer. So he and I are going to break down the entire album, go track by track, and kind of discuss it. So glad you guys brought it up. But yeah, when I saw the list, I was like, hold on. Adrian Quesada, Beastie Boys, Dinosaur Jr., I want to know how you guys got in contact with them, but also just, it's so amazing all these people got to contribute to this movie.
I know we're wrapping up, and if you want to dig, I'll just say this, and I'll keep it short. Don't underestimate the domino effect.
Yeah,
you have no idea that like trying and getting 10 no's, and then you get one yes. Well, that yes leads to a domino effect in every way. Making a movie, making a soundtrack, it doesn't matter. The domino effect is one of the realest things I've ever experienced, and I put a lot of faith in it nowadays.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think it was just like, Adrian jumped on board because we're friends from college, and frankly, like, COVID stopped him. He was literally playing, Joe Biden's inauguration, and they were, their music was in ads in the Super Bowl, but he was sitting, for COVID, he was sitting home and couldn't tour anymore. And so we were like, hey, do you want to do this while you can't tour? So that the combination of like having Adrian on board, and then, some of these were connections that we had or Adrian had, but some of them, the first domino was reaching out to somebody on Instagram.
Wow.
And just saying, hey, like, we're doing this thing. It's with Adrian, who's this, great producer. And then it's also for a cause. And like that really, like the cause really helped people.
And for other filmmakers or anyone trying to make something big with a lot of people, because the nature of what we were making, you have to have other people participate. Understand that having one person as the guinea pig is the hardest thing. But once you have that, there's a lot of influence and leverage that comes from that, and it leads to more and more and more. And then once you have 2 or 3, it's just game over. So casting, music, what have you, that's always a good strategy.
Yeah, and also, like, as we were like, we wanted this to have that like 90s, Dazed and Confused of the 90s vibe, right? And think about Dazed and Confused, like what defines it is the music, so much of it, right? And so we're like, well, we're an indie film and we can't afford to license, they spent $1 million and that was, 90s $1 million. So we were like, what, how do we create that vibe? And what's cool is like, people are telling us like, holy shit, like, I didn't know that this was original music. They're like, I thought that those were like songs I already knew, like that they were like these iconic 90s songs, but just Adrian's so good that he like recreated that vibe. And so the movie, like, we spent our total music budget was what probably would have been like licensing one iconic 90s song, you know?
Well, I think it paid off. Like you're saying, it pays dividends to have something wholly new created for this that just makes it feel even more authentic and Austin and fun and 90s. So
awesome. I want to hear that episode when you guys break down the soundtrack.
yeah, thank you guys for coming on, and we'll be in touch, and definitely reach out to us as you guys have more things going on, because I'd love to have you on again.
Yeah.
Addison, Tristan, and thank you for what you guys are doing too. Putting a spotlight on indie filmmaking is like close to the heart. It means a lot. We need that. Thank you.